Yeah. That's not even turning off. All right, folks, let's start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yes, yes, I can hear. This is
All right.
Michelle.
So we currently have two council members not joining us physically this evening. Michelle is on Zoom, and Bernice, due to medical reasons, is not participating at all this evening. So we need those noted in the minutes. We'll go ahead and look over and adopt the agenda. Any additions requested? Nicole, you wanted to add the...
I'm sorry, I'm just taking notes. Yes.
That's okay.
I want to add in new business. In new business, I wanted to add the data center information.
So we'll call it the data center overview. Anything else? I call for a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
I so move.
And a second.
Whatever.
We'll start with Mr. Hempstead.
Okay.
Yes.
Michelle?
Yes,
Okay. So the agenda is approved. We're gonna start with, is Guardian Angels here this evening? So our business spotlight was Guardian Angels. It was the new daycare that's going in, or is in the town center building. She said she was gonna be here. Something must have come up. So we'll move right into the public hearing, sorry, on the real estate taxes. Did we have anyone sign up to speak at the public hearing? Okay. So for clarification, just to kind of go over what was publicized, and then with no public comment, council can discuss it and vote on it. The recommendation is to remain at the 20 cents per $100. So there would be no change administratively on our side. We're not raising or lowering the rate. There is a, Kelly, correct me if I'm wrong, 4.25% amount increase based on the assessments. Am I correct in that figure?
I mean, that's probably an average. It's anywhere between 6 and 8%.
Okay. And that's based on the assessments though.
Right.
And we're basing it on the information we have is from 2024, because the new assessments we won't get until later in the year. Okay. Council have any comments or questions or concerns?
So because the assessments are up, that means that we're going to be paying more taxes. So how much are they going, the assessments going up? 8%, am I right? Or 7%?
No, it depends.
What does it depend though?
Your assessed value, right, Kelly?
It depends on the assessed value. So the average assessments are going up 6 to 8%.
That's what I
And
meant.
then, yeah, our tax rate doesn't change,
Right.
but the assessed.
But we will be
of your-
paying,
of whatever your property.
we will be
is.
paying more taxes
Most people will be, yes.
unless we go down in value, and that probably won't happen.
Be different per property.
Yeah.
Because each property is assessed
Right.
individually, so like each
Right.
person experience like a different amount of possible increase. But yes,
Can I ask a question about assessments? Does somebody go around each year and check your property? Every property is.
That's a good question.
It's required that property be assessed once every 5 years.
Oh, so it's really not somebody going around every year.
No, not every year. Sometimes they will base it on building permits that are completed during a year. For instance, if you've had an addition on your home or renovated the basement, that may cause, an assessment or an assessor to go out and look at the property at that point.
Okay.
So does the town have to hire an assessor?
No, we go out like county.
County does it for free.
Well, not for free. Our tax dollars pay for it, but
We're paying for it with
Yeah.
Louisa.
we pay for it, but yeah, it's not an additional cost to the town for them to do that.
So, second question. We've got the budget being discussed later on in the meeting and then council comments will be the last thing, but are we just discussing property and taxes and that right now, or are we going to defer that to later?
Yeah, the public hearing is just for the rate. So because there was more than a 1% increase to the previous year, we're required by law to hold a public hearing, even if we don't change anything.
Well, I
because
understand that, but what I'm getting at is I got a lot of questions about the budget, and I'm looking at personal property taxes, page 2. And if we're going to talk about that now, I've got a few questions.
So this is just for the property, just for land. So for the property tax rate, personal property is a different assessment. So cars, boats,
Changing.
right?
So should I hold these questions about property taxes and all of that until later in the meeting?
To the budget, yeah, to the budget.
Okay, I'm good.
So so I do need a motion for the council to approve the 20 cents per $100 tax rate to not change.
I was thinking that we were gonna approve the whole budget on the 16th.
We do, but we have to approve the rate first. Because again, there was more than a 1% increase through the assessment, so we have to approve the rate. And then,
Today.
yeah,
So I have a question before we get to that point. With the way that things end up somewhat being delayed, so would this change end up impacting our 2026 fiscal year budget? Or would it be the following?
It will affect this budget, it will affect this upcoming year's fiscal budget, but we don't really know what that amount will be because we won't get assessments until August, I think, is when we'll get assessments. I'm sorry, I can't remember exactly when we got them last year, but we won't know that, so it will increase, and we did not know about that it had not been approved by the county by the time we were putting together budget figures this year.
so it would increase our bottom line.
Our revenue
Okay,
For 2026.
for
20 until July of 2026. Correct.
yeah, so yeah, it increased for the year.
Can I make a motion that we accept the 20 cents, no change?
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. We'll start with Mr. Hempstead.
Yes.
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 Michelle?
Yes.
Okay. So again, we're remaining at the 20 cents per 100. All right, now I will open the meeting up to public comments. Did anybody sign up for public comments? Okay.
My building did not go up in tax. It was not assessed any higher than what it is now, as an example.
Okay.
This is excellent. Did you do this?
No. The county did, I just asked permission and then they were kind enough to go in. Permission to
to
Send
minute,
it to them.
and your name and everything's on this, can you upload this to the website? It's phenomenal.
Yes, yeah, we will do that.
I signed up to speak about the Amazon webs, the data center coming in, but since you have an extensive packet. And you just added it to your agenda, I'm gonna guess you already know about it. But if there are any questions, please let me know, I've been following it since the very first one went in. This is number 3, it is speculated that number 4 will follow. And then they will move outside the county with a proposed 3 more. So. If you saw my article, there's pros and cons all the way through. Biggest cons are water and electricity. In my opinion, it is the best way to raise tax revenue with minimal impact. Cause it could become a development with 300 houses. It could become another landfill. There's multiple things that the property could become, it could stay trees. But the data center brings in revenue, and they're all across the world. So if you have any questions, let me know. Thank you.
Awesome, thank you.
I got an education from Debbie last week, so I know more about what they are. I had no idea,
Yeah.
so thank you, Deb.
Well, you know Michelle's location, and why she's not in person.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you, Rob, for reminding me through Nicole. Michelle, I just need you to note your location and why you're not participating in person, if you wouldn't mind.
That's fine. I am in Virginia Beach and I am on a family vacation and I am on a personal, I'm not on the internet. I'm on a personal hotspot or whatever it is. It's a personal account. So I'm not using public internet.
Awesome, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, were there any other public comments?
After long time.
Good afternoon. I got to look at the Bowman proposal from December of last year.
The what, I cannot hear you.
Bowman. The
Oh,
the water issue that.
Okay. Okay,
He's gonna get like examining now stuff, so I looked at this contract. It seems like there's a huge potential for like change orders. Okay, so it could eventually cost a lot more than what this outlines. And there was just a few things in the language that kind of freaked me out was basically about the accuracy of all the, I'm gonna read it verbatim, the accurate location or characteristics of any subsurface utility or feature that is not clearly and entirely visible from the surface. It's an exclusion from the scope, right? The other thing is, so you're paying to get all of the documents digitized, right? And this says that we have to verify all of the paper versus digital documents.
We're not using that contractor
Okay.
for our water. We use them for our lead and copper.
Okay. I was.
We were gonna use them for our asset management and we have not moved forward with that.
Okay. Well,
But it was
right now.
approved to do so.
Okay, well, some of the language is kind of scary, so I just wanted to let you guys know. Okay. So I would budget like 30% over what this is. Just because. Of the potential for change. Okay, thank you, that's all.
Thank you. Any other public comments for this evening? All right, we'll close public comment. So we do have several sets of minutes. We've had a lot of special meetings, so we have a couple of different sets of minutes to go through tonight. The first one being April 29th. I'll take a motion I'll take any discussion and then a motion to approve or amend.
What tab number is that?
I do not have mine in a book, so,
H.
and I think all the minutes are stacked together.
All together.
yeah, H number 1.
So this would be the first page of tab H. And it's just one page. It should be page 9. If that helps.
Is it part of the agenda or not?
Yeah.
I'm just having,
Sure.
excuse me for being confused, but I'm
No,
having a hard time
that's all right.
trying to find it.
We're patient.
I've got April 29th. Is that what we're looking at?
Yes, that's the, yep. And it's one page, it should be one page front and back. And that was the special meeting that we called to discuss the water system and potential solutions. So again, I'll entertain any discussion or a motion to approve as presented.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I have the motion. I'll take a second. I have a motion and a second. We'll start with Mrs. McGee.
Yes.
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 Michelle?
Yes,
All right, and we're gonna move next to May 12th. So this was our regular meeting.
May 7th?
Oh, sorry, I ripped that page out too quickly. We'll move to May 7th. Also another one page, front and back. And this was our budget workshop. I'll take a motion to approve.
I'll make that motion.
I have a motion to approve. I'll take a second.
Second.
I have a second. We'll start with Mr. Hempstead.
You were not
Yes.
here.
Yes, okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Michelle?
yes,
Councilman Hempstead was not present for that meeting.
Did you want to abstain instead? Did you want to change your?
Yeah, that'd probably be better since
Okay.
I wasn't there.
but I was there, correct? I just want to clarify who you're talking to. It's hard for me.
Yes, you were here.
Thank you. And I'm voting yes. Thank you.
So we'll let the record show that Mr. Hempstead abstained because he was absent from that meeting, please. Now we go on to May 12th. This was our regular meeting for the month. And this one is 3 pages long, both front and back. Same as before, I'll take a motion to approve.
I'll make that motion.
I have a motion to approve. I'll take a second.
Mr. Mayor, I feel like
Yes.
some of the discussion that occurred in item 6 is significant to have in the minutes.
So what would you prefer that we put a copy of resolution 25-12 as the conversation? As kind of supporting
I think it
conversation?
would make sense for the resolutions to be in there, but I do think that some of the discussion that ended up happening as a result of 2025-12 is significant to ensure it's documented and reflected in the minutes as well.
How would you like it? How would you recommend that it be amended?
I think that I would need to go back and watch and find that out. I don't think that I can recall from memory exactly what all was said, but I do think it needs to be respected.
Okay. So did we want to table these minutes for next month?
I'll remove my motion.
Okay, motion rescinded. So I'll take a motion to table these minutes until next month pending review.
So
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, we'll start with Mr. Hempstead.
Yes, that's fine. We'll talk about it in July.
Yes.
Yes.
Michelle?
Yes.
Okay. Olivia. Um, just to clarify, and so you'll reach out to the clerk and have that conversation. Okay. I just want to make sure we don't or I want you to set expectations.
Perfect. I wrote them down.
Okay, and now we're at May 21st. This is the last set of minutes for this evening, and it was another special meeting. I'll take a motion to approve.
So maybe.
I have a motion. I'll take a second,
Second.
and we'll start with Mr. Hempstead.
Yeah,
Yes.
Yes.
Michelle?
Yes.
Austin, guy. All right, so the next thing on our agenda is a review and discussion regarding a council appointment. So we do have an empty seat. We have 2 applicants who have submitted their resumes and requests to join the council. Catherine Nipper and Robert Spedden. Robert did have to step away this evening. He said that he would get back with me a little later this week. Had something come up and had to go. So, but Catherine is in the room, so if council would like
Ron?
to.
Mr. Montan needs to make a comment about this.
I did application.
Did you submit it today?
Yes.
I checked the email at 2:30. I have not received it. It closed at 2.
What time did you send it in today?
But he was at work all day, so could we exclude and let him be a part of those being considered?
That's a council decision.
That's what I'm asking.
I mean, I think if Mr. Von Kai is prepared to speak to his intentions, I'm willing to hear it. I do think that not having met that deadline does put you at a disadvantage, just to be like totally frank, but I'm willing to hear what you have to say and consider.
I'm saying,
Neutral. I don't care.
Okay, Michelle?
You know, we set a deadline. I think they're important. I'm not as comfortable with everybody, as waiving them because it's not for those who did make it. But I will yield to the majority. If others prefer it, I will listen.
So I think the majority is willing to hear Mr. Von Ty out. Did I say your name correctly? I don't. Okay. So we'll hear him and we don't make the decision tonight. We make the decision in 7 days from today. So at the very least, we can give him the respect of hearing him out. Again, Mr. Spedden is not here this evening, so I'm going to set his resume aside. We can discuss or we can invite candidates up to the podium. Which do you prefer to start with?
I would prefer to start with hearing.
Okay, so we'll start with,
Speak otherwise.
well, I mean, I agree. You want to hear from the candidates first, so we'll start with Ms. Nipper. If you want to take the podium.
What about it?
I have been in the private public sector for over 25 years. Dealing with city government, county government, and federal government. I spent the majority of my lifetime in federal government. City government wise, as has been as a police officer in the city of Kansas City. I didn't feel like I was getting enough at that point as a police officer and decided to join the military to be able to see the world. I hate to say it for free, but not necessarily where I wanted to go. I due to injuries I received while in the military, I had to step down as a law enforcement, and I stepped back and went toward administrative part and logistics. So majority of my time frame in when it comes to when it comes to the public sector has been administrative and logistics. I'm currently core level 2 contractor. Core is contracting officer representative. I have been a core level for 2 for over, I would say 16 years. And what I do on that is I help assist write the scope of whatever contract that we are going to be looking at getting. So we want the scope of work, what we need, what we as the government, our agency, will provide the contractor to help them prepare what they need to do for the work we're requesting. I have dealt right now on my major contracts that I have right now are investigations, because we do hire outside people who do investigations with my agency. I'm not going to tell you my agency because that I feel would my agency has nothing to do with what I'm talking about here, other than what my duties are. So I will not use my agency as gate. But a good portion of y'all already know what I do. Who are, should say, who I work for. One of the contracts is investigations. Another contract is working with the Verizon. Make sure that our people have the technology they need while they're out in the field. I wish I could tell you about a couple of the others, but I can't. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them for you.
So we'll start at the end of the diet.
No, fine.
You don't have any?
No, I do not.
Okay.
I have a few, so are we getting to round robin or should I just keep going? Okay. I'd love to hear how you told us a lot about your prior experience, and thank you Terry for this. Can you tell me how you feel that skill set translates into this environment?
Well, I've had to because my career had dealt with many different types of people. I have been able to de-escalate, and I will admit I also escalated. But I found out some of the reasons why that happened within the past couple of years. And so I've been working with the VA to keep that down at this point. As a veteran, we do have problems, and we all go out and try to fix those problems, or so. For those that know my past transgression, please know that I am getting it worked on and have been getting it worked on for the last several years. Also the fact that we're looking at different contracts. I know the town manager is looking at different contracts. I have no problem helping assist with that as well because of the multi-million-dollar contracts that I'm currently working on and have been working on.
Thank you for that answer.
And then, I'm sorry.
Thousands.
Please not forget the financial management system that I was able to bring to this council, so that we're able to be where we're at now and have been able to have a clearer budget than we've had in the past several years. So I'm sure you haven't had any complaints and they've been really good with answering your questions.
Yeah, I've got two more questions for you. In the next one, you already kind of spoke to some of this. Sorry. Got two more questions for you, and you just spoke somewhat to this next question, but as you may be aware in following Town of Mineral meetings and politics, we've experienced quite a bit of contention, and that's something that we're all actively working on improving and increasing our level of collaboration and ability to communicate clearly and work together. How do you feel like you can contribute to that goal in a meaningful way?
I feel that we should be using Robert's rules more often. Everyone should be reading it and knowing what rules they can use to de-escalate what's going on, or to bring the conversation back to what it originally was versus going offline into something else that can be talked about later or added to the agenda when it wasn't even on the agenda.
Thank you. And my final question is, what are the most pressing issues for the town in your opinion, and how do you see us moving forward and to rectify them?
Water. I believe right now the biggest concern is water. We need wells. The second thing, what it has been the budget, getting the past year's audits, thank you, completed so that we can get the grant money that's needed to be able to get this town back on its feet and in the direction that we want to go. Whether we want to stay a small town and have water that is ours and we're not borrowing from another another county, from the county, from another city, but be able to self-sustain our lifestyle and be able to grow if we feel like it. We got PUD. Let's, what do we want to do with that PUD? We can't do anything without water.
Thank you, Ms. Nipper. That's all of my questions.
Mrs. Baker?
I don't really have any questions. I think you've thoroughly what you could bring to this council. I'm very impressed. So I really don't. She covered and you covered it very well. Thank you.
Michelle?
Hello, Blair. Thank you for coming and applying. I wish I could see you. I don't really have questions beyond. Olivia has an extremely thorough question. So I'm going to stick with the data she elicited because I think it's excellent data, and that's all I have. Thank you.
And I'm gonna go last. I'm gonna throw a little curveball at you. So the empty seat available on council, the former council person was in charge of the Economic Development Committee. Tell me what you'll bring to the table for economic development in the town.
Well, at that point, I would start making sure that someone does start going to the board of supervisors meetings, and talking to the one who Joanne Adams and say, hey, minerals here. We want business. We need, stop looking at Lake Anna, stop looking down at Zion's Crossings. Minerals here. We want to bring some more businesses in so that we don't have to tax our people as much. I don't want to tax businesses either, but we need to bring them in to be able to find a happy level between both businesses and the residents of this town, and still become a bigger, better, tighter community. It would be nice to see the what's it called? The business group. I can't even think what it's called now, so I'm sorry. But seeing all the businesses.
Directory. Directory.
Not directory. The businesses get together.
Oh, I got you.
And see what they can do. Have signs like it used to be when you go into Louisa, they would have a sign up. Now it has a big built, I don't know what you call it, thing on there, so it took all the businesses down that was part of the business association, so forgive me. But it would be nice to have a business association, back here and see what the businesses, if they know anyone who is wanting to come into this town as well without having to use, the Wayne Anderson. We can always use our businesses to see, if they know anyone that also wants to come in, because people are always looking at, wanting to, start their own business, be it on, I can't say the word now, entrepreneur, I can't say the word.
Entrepreneur.
Yes.
Right, I think, does anybody else have a question? All right, Ms. Nipper, thank you for your time. Mr. Bontai. And I will say, we're kind of at a disadvantage because we don't have any of his stuff in writing.
Follow that.
Well, we're gonna start with Mr. Hempstead. Oh, I'm sorry, you get an opportunity.
Probably gotta let him talk.
Yeah. I apologize for submitting my email a little late. Thank you for letting me speak. Anyway, so I'm just trying to do what I can for the community with what time I have. Hoping that the town council is looking out for the community members the best that they can. Do the best of their ability. So I'm just trying to get closer to that. And that's all I can say.
We'll start with Mr. Hempstead.
So.
Yeah.
You've been a resident here in Mineral for multiple years. What do you have to bring to the table?
Good question.
I can read some of these contracts, maybe based on that's about it. Yeah. Sean. Any other questions?
Could you do a better system with these microphones?
How much do these cost again?
Yeah, I don't know off the top of my head.
How many music studios have you built?
What are you talking?
There's a button on that microphone.
I have to hit the button. This is okay. Okay. Well, I could have helped with the microphones, guys, just off the record, you know.
How many
That's-
music studios have you built?
Dave, come on, man.
At least
I've
two?
built several music studios. I'm somewhat of like an audio engineer, stuff like that. That doesn't apply to any of this. I mean, when it comes to y'all's microphone setup, I
Well,
probably could have helped y'all.
But you understand
Yes, sir.
how to do these microphones?
Yeah.
Any other questions?
No.
Mr. Farrow.
I'm gonna ask the same three questions out of
Yes, ma'am.
fairness and equal opportunity to respond. I would like to hear a bit more about your prior experience and how that translates to working in this kind of environment.
It does not translate. That's one thing. Yes. So I'm used to, looking at things through a fine comb, right? Digging through information. That's where I'm good. I'm not a public speaker. I've never dealt with that, but I'm willing to try to get along with everybody and see that, everyone's moving forward and progressing. That's all. That's all I got. That's all you can do.
So similarly to, as I, stated to Mr. Britton, then you also kind of addressed it a little bit in that first question, but I would like to hear more. I think it's very common knowledge that we have experienced quite a lot of contention. What do you bring to the table as far as being able to navigate collaborating, communicating effectively, and working with others in order to help us move forward with those things?
I'm a good listener. And I feel like I always try to weigh both sides, and try to help mitigate some sort of understanding between two, conflicting parties, I guess.
Okay. And what are the primary issues for the town and how do you see us moving forward with those things?
Need to fix our wells, is what I'm told. That's the talk of the town. I haven't gotten to speak with Hank, really. I'm sure he could enlighten me on all sorts of issues that we've got as far as our utility system. But other than that, um, loud cars, I don't know. There's nothing to do about it.
I think those were all of my questions.
I have none. I have none.
Michelle?
Hello. I can't see you from here, but I wanted to just say hello and welcome and thank you for applying. I am curious, I guess, how much you would like really to be on council and do the work of council and be on committees, and do you have the time? Like all of us, you have to carve out some time to do the work of council between council meetings that, requires, reading of all the agendas. You may be on a committee for economic development, a very large commitment, require attending, maybe other meetings with the county and, other localities. Is that something that you're open to, or that you have, a lot of time to give to this? I mean,
Yeah, Michelle, I think I'm just trying to throw it at the wall and seeing if it sticks. If I'm of any use to town council, then that would be great. If I'm not, then I'd be more than happy to, step down or whatever. So that's all I could say. Thank you for
Any
your
other
time.
questions, Michelle? I don't know if she heard me. Michelle, any other questions?
no, thank you. Appreciate your answer.
All right, well, you're
Thank you,
getting
guys.
an advantage because you're getting my curveball, but you heard it already.
All right.
So the open seat is responsible for economic development. Can you tell me a little bit about how you will contribute to economic development in the town of Monroe?
Not at this time.
What did you say? I didn't hear
Not
that.
at this time.
Not
Oh.
at the time. All right, any other questions or comments, Mr. Bontai? Thank you for your time.
Thank you, guys.
All right, so folks, again, state law requires that we now wait 7 days before we make a decision on those candidates. I would suggest that you guys think about it over the next 7 days, and we have a meeting scheduled for the 16th to make the appointment, which keeps us within that 45-day window.
And that's the budget.
Sorry.
Yeah, I think
Are we
we,
doing?
yeah. We're gonna do it on the same meeting because we have to put that 45 window. All right, now we are on to new business. We did add the data center overview. I can't say that quickly because it sounds like I'm from Boston when I do. So I yield the floor to Mrs. Washington.
So this information, I received it with the news alert last week on Wednesday. Our packets went out on Tuesday, so hence it wasn't in the packet. That's the reason why. I did print off in your packet, you picked one up and you guys at the table, council should have one. The article that is from Tammy Purcell that explains and talks about the proposed data center. They are in the process of applications and seeing if this is something that the community wants or county. They do have a technology overlay district, which is in their ag region. That just means that that's a technology overlay district that says they can have something like this in there. For mineral, this Amazon data center doesn't directly affect us. I'm on the map, so. This is, if you can see on the TV, this where my cursor is, this is. This is Kennon Road. This right here. This line. That's one of the access points. So Kennon Road is at the south end of
It's-
town.
Right down the street from me.
Yeah, and if you turn right and left would take you on out to Pendleton, right is Kennon Road, and if you go back that way, you'll hit Huntington East Drive. So that's gonna be an access point. And the land doesn't necessarily back up to the town, but it goes across and then over kind of near the high school. It's all back in this area. There's a couple other access points. The main entrance is somewhere up near the high school. They're building a main road that way. We're like near Chopping, somewhere near there. And then like School Bus Road, all those roads are, it's gonna be in that area in the back. There's so much land between this side and all the way to 33, so 22 and 33. And that's where it's gonna be. So we may hear the noise if they decide to build it, we may not. The concern I have is the water. But, you know, the whispers around this are saying that they may get tapped into that direct raw water line that they're doing for the one that's on Lake Springs. If they do, then, you know, it may not affect the Northeast Creek, however, it's talking about the Northeast Creek, so. It just depends, we need to stay tuned, we need to keep watching it and see what's going on with it, how it's gonna affect us. The low impact on us will be traffic, construction. If you guys have not driven out to Kentucky Springs and saw the site where they are, the construction is, I mean, it's right on the road, like one of the main entrances is right at Kentucky Springs, you can see it, it's right there. That's not necessarily where the data center's going, but that's the construction site where it starts. It's huge. The construction and the development and the people that are gonna live here for the construction and development will be an impact on Louisa, will be an impact on town. But after it's all said and done and it's built, that goes away. And then there's no impact. The impact will be the noise or, you know, whatever they have, whatever the data centers have going on. So I don't know that the town of Mall is going to be severely. But we'll keep a watch. There's a meeting on Wednesday at 6 o'clock, and I'll attend that.
It's 4 o'clock.
4
Is
o'clock.
it 4 o'clock?
Yeah.
Oh, I have a glass.
It ends at 6.
There's 4 o'clock. Sorry.
And then public, and then July the 10th, it's a public meeting, public hearing on July the 10th.
Yep.
That's tomorrow, right?
Yeah, Wednesday is Wednesday. Tomorrow's Tuesday. June.
On Thursday, July the
That's
10th, it's the public hearing. The neighborhood meeting is June 11th,
Yeah,
July.
that's-
I'm thinking June, never mind.
Sorry, I didn't buy it.
So any discussion, comments, questions? Nicole will be at the meeting, so if we have questions and we can't be there, you could pass them on to Nicole to glean clarification, if there's any questions, no?
We'll find out more at the neighborhood meeting, like about the whole development and, you know, ask some questions. We do have resolutions on both sides with, you know, from the town to work the county's resolution for the town and the county work together. And that just means that if, you know, we have questions or we need assistance or we're concerned about stuff, we can work with them and they'll help address some of our, you know, questions or administrative situations. We've established that through resolution, and I had my first experience with the water break that we had. And we had an after actions meeting, to go over, you know, what happened, how can we do better communication, what does that look like for everyone? That was very good and it was well thought out, and we're continuing to work together to get that emergency plan together for stuff like that. So we will see the county and town work closer and.
Great. And I can just say on my own page, Dwayne and I have had many conversations, one most recently about the data center, just people were starting to ask, so. So I did reach out. So we are seeing that collaboration between.
Do we all understand what the data center does? Okay, Because-
So excited. She's like, I can
because-
tell you.
I know.
I have one or two questions about it. I don't know if you know anything, but I know it's a very limited number of employees that are going to be working there because it's mainly a data processing center that does everything electronically. But they're going to be using a significant amount of water. Are they digging their own wells? And if they do, are they going to do artesian wells?
No, so that's what I was, so they're using,
The river.
the raw
Is that
water
it?
line from the James.
Oh, okay.
To do the one at Fed Springs. And the rumor mill, I don't know how true it is, I'll go find out more, is that they may tap into that to do if this one passed, so yeah.
Okay.
Let Debbie talk, she knows a lot about
If
it.
you look in the application, it shows how they're not fully using the river by using some process of storage and evaporation. I know, me too, but I'm just, it's not just the river going through, so they're trying to mitigate it a little bit. One of the best things I would see is that they build a few wells and maybe we move the boundary over a little bit and grab one. Agreed.
Right? Dave, you said you had another question? You said you had a couple.
No, that's all I got.
Awesome. Any other questions? And I think we'll see more about what that plan is. If you followed the first one that they, and I, like Becky, didn't really understand it until I started really deep diving into it. But they do kind of outline all of this stuff as the process goes forward. So as long as we pay attention, we'll kind of get answers to some of the questions we're gonna have as this thing moves forward.
I think there's a Central Virginia article coming up this week, on it.
I'll be watching for that. All right, so we're gonna move right into reports, town managers report, excuse me. Goodness gracious.
Some of the attachments in the town manager report are the health letter. This from this ongoing crisis with the water taps. Water main break after actions, so that report, that's what I was discussing, where we met with a bunch of us, the town of Louisa, the town mineral, the water authority. And the administration, and the communication person in the county met to discuss kind of where we are with water main breaks when they affect the town like this. What are the communication strategies? What's an emergency plan that we can have? I started, and when this happened, I created a standard operating procedure for that. We're working together to create a broader emergency plan for water, so that everyone's kind of on the same page and doing the same thing and we know what we're doing. We also have a contact list that we're working through with the county and the authority and the town, so that everyone is in communication. Hank called me at 7:20, I got to work and we immediately did a conservation of water and then started following everything that was going on. With understanding that there was going to be a local water advisory. With that, I spoke with the health department and, the minute the pressure went down and at the water authority and they did a boil water alert, we, went ahead and did one as well. understanding and working with James to know that we get all of our water from Louisa. Our pressure had not dropped. However, our tank is only 35% full, which means that had we not taken these steps, the tank would have been empty just because of the nature of our businesses and the people at home, not if they didn't know any of this. So the communication was done. We did get applauded for that through the health department. With how fast we reacted to that. We also, the staff called the businesses in town one by one to talk to them, let them know what was going on. And Michelle, council member, came out and posted signs at all the businesses so that people could see it who don't have email, don't have alerts, and so on. So we also did set up an email through our utility system, the financial management system that was installed, and Kelly was able to send alerts out throughout the day. So we stayed on top of that. We are and will be working with Royal Well Drilling, and their information is in the packet as well. This came about because Louisa works with them and has a contract with them, so this is a cooperative contract. We can kind of piggyback onto this contract. I sent all of the contract Louisa had to the procurement office at the health department and got an okay for us to go ahead and use them. I had my first meeting with Mr. Royal this last week. I'm getting some data for him on wells, and we are moving through our first steps to do well revitalization. So once he gets all the documentation that he needs, they review it, they'll come up with a plan and a contract of some sort, and then we'll go from there. So I'll bring you the contract, present it to you, but we are working off of the contract with Louisa. And this is something that we have to do in order to get us back to establishing our own water. He's very confident that we could save well 4 unless there is a specific issue. But the way he was discussing it, as the well goes lower and lower and things start to dry up and these fractures start to harden, the water can't come in. So they do some type of scraping, I'm gonna call it, to allow the water to come through and the well fill up. So he's confident in that, and then we'll go from there to look at drilling another well.
Before you, I'm sorry, I do have one question for you.
No,
So
that's fine.
is there a time frame on when we'll have more information from Royal Wells as far as the sustainability or fixability, I don't know if that's a word, of well 4? Are we talking 6
Well,
months?
I won't know until that. So as soon as we get the contract and we sign it, so council will have to look at that and approve it. As soon as we get that, within 5 days, he'll be on site.
Okay.
So
If you get the contract soon, hopefully, could you call a special meeting so we could see the contract,
Yeah.
get it signed, and is that,
Absolutely.
get it signed and get things going?
Yeah.
So we can get this solved sooner than later?
absolutely. So I have to, I gathered a lot of documentation that he was asking for. I'm waiting on one thing from the health department. And then he'll get all of this information from me, and then he'll go through and look at it. He'll get together his contract, and then as soon as he has it in hand, we'll call a special meeting.
Tell them we're in an emergency.
Oh, he knows. He knows.
Awesome.
So just to run down the report, some of it more discussed, the 23 audit, we're working with Brown Edwards, with Beth is the person that is our contact person. Park update, Lutfield bathroom. I wrote this and then I got an email from Little League after the practice. There's still a lot of contention around the bathrooms in the Little League, so we just kind of need to address it. Derek, who's president, called, and I think Ron's gonna end up giving him a call and talking to him, but we've been in communication, I'm hoping we can, address it. I do have to say that they are not, I don't think that they're willing to open the bathrooms or let us have a key to them, even with the agreement that was written. There was complaints that, the farmer's market, which I know this is not mostly true in my opinion, because the church allows the farmer's market to use their bathrooms, but the porta johns that are there were, destroyed, trash everywhere, diapers, whatever. And the thought was that people from the farmer's market were going over there, but I think we're just needing to build this relationship. I don't know why they're just having a hard time with it.
I think that I think they're looking for. They don't want to be stuck with the brunt of the cost, is what I was getting. Of fixing them, of keeping them, what happens if they are vandalized, what happens if somebody breaks into them. But that's the hand in hand aspect of it that Nicole was speaking of, working together, both sides, the Little League and the town, to do what's best for the town. So just to reiterate, I did get a call from him earlier today. I was not available to answer my phone. So I will give him a call in the president of the Little League in the morning and just kind of suss out, what is the animosity? What are the fears? Because if we can't come to the table and talk about it, we'll never resolve it. So, so more to come on that as well.
I mean, you guys saw the agreement that was written up to go to Little League. This was months ago, and I sent it to
What
them.
agreement are you talking?
It was just about
It was a written agreement?
It was just kind of like a policy based on Little League, what the town would do with the bathrooms, what the Little League would be responsible for, that type. They do not, in my understanding and communication, do not want an actual agreement because they've never had one. But this was, council had asked me to put together something because they wanted an agreement. So I went ahead and did that and put it together. And it was in one of our packets where we talked about, just being able to open them early to evening, us checking on them throughout the day, making sure things were okay. They would be locked after hours, and if they had to use them, they would be responsible for them until, while they were using them. I was waiting to hear back from them to see if they had something to say to address that. I never got it. So there was something said.
Okay.
I really don't understand why they didn't do their bathrooms, because when I went to a Little League meeting, we were asked if we would get and that's when we came to council to get the sewer hooked up to the sewer with the knowledge that that could be used when Torrey built his buildings.
And the town paid for that connection, if I remember.
Yes.
Correctly. Right, okay.
So that was, done back it would be 2 years. And, I was shocked they didn't do the bathrooms. Because I thought, they asked us, and I know exactly who asked me, and I'm not going to say who it was, but anyway, we were asked. Because I would never bring it up to the town on my own because I didn't even know that they were hooked to the sewer system.
Yeah.
I'm happy to hear that you have a call scheduled to address this, and I think that trying to figure out how it's going to be a mutually agreeable situation is going to be best, but I think it would be remiss if I didn't say, with us having paid for the connection so that those bathrooms were more usable, the fact that they sit on town property and we allow the Little League to use that property at no cost for how long, I don't think that it is at all unreasonable for us to have a key and to be able to have those accessible to the taxpayers who fund all of that when they take their kids over to the playground. And I think that that needs to be made very clear to them.
Yes.
And also the situation of the fact that while they may have built those bathrooms, they sit on town property. So I hope that we can come to a mutually agreeable situation and work things out. And I think that you get more with honey than vinegar. But I do think that we are very quickly approaching the point at which we need to draw a firm line on this, because I think it's frankly ridiculous.
Right. I'm comfortable having a general conversation with the president of Little League tomorrow and just stating, look, council is in concert in saying that those bathrooms need to be available to the public. And they do sit on public owned property paid for by our taxpayers. And to my knowledge, there has never been a contract allowing them to build on town property. So I think there was a discussion had at some point somewhere, and I don't know the history.
It's been there for a number of years, the Little League. It used to be only one Little League field in all Louisa, that was in Louisa. And then this property, they built the field. Cecil Luck was the one that's why it's called Luck Field. And he, he and his two sons and then everybody, they all pitched in and got this taken care of back a number of years ago. And I didn't know what kind of agreements or anything was done. All I know it was Luckfield.
Unfortunately, back in the day, most things were done on paper. So who knows?
Yes, true.
Well, I hope, for the record, I hope that we can reach an amicable agreement. I mean, the town did just donate $500 to the Little League to sponsor a team this past year. So I think we've shown some good faith.
Did they
And
ever come back to us?
I don't think they ever cashed the check if I'm,
Well,
so I'll
darn.
ask about that tomorrow as well.
That's this younger generation. Good Lord, sorry.
Sorry, Nicole, you were a neighbor plug.
Lights for the park, so we did reach out to Jeff Luck and he's busy through September. He wasn't able to give a quote because he wanted to make sure that when we wanted the lights. So he wouldn't be able to get to them until after the summer.
And Jeff is Cecil Luck's son.
Yes, so we're at a crossroads with the quote for the lights. I did get Harbor Electric's quote down. I took off 4 outlet plugs. We had 8, so I took off 4. They'll be staggered throughout the trees that line the sidewalk. It brought it down to 8,000. A few dollars. Exactly what it was, but I can get another quote.
Have you spoken to Sparks Electric? Are they available to do a quote?
I can ask.
Because they're straight across the street.
I know, we use Harbor for everything and they're pretty,
Right.
their quotes are pretty hand in hand. But I can get another quote. So I'm gonna call it the new park, so the old school. I think the park looks great. We have cleaned it and we had the public works team, what we call drag or brush or comb the field with the rake that they have on the back of the tractor. They're going to be more times. We got rid of the trash that was out there, stuff that was lining the fence. We're gonna get some signs to put up on the brick building that says, no trespassing, do not climb structure, just for liability purposes. But Little League had started to park one part of the grass, so we put up some no parking signs, just because we don't want this learning that their cars. But I think it looks nice and it's there, you use.
And we don't want to spend any money until we get our water done.
And I think it looks 100% better than it did before, so I think that it's worth us kind of acknowledging that to our public works guys that put in that work, because there was a tremendous amount of trash left there, and I can only imagine how long it took them to do all of that. So at least thank them for us for doing that.
Wonder how many snakes came out of
Oh.
there.
I got several comments between Saturday and Sunday of people that were like, oh my God, thank you, finally, we're not looking at a pile of trash, so it is, people are seeing that.
I put roads on here because I have, with all of the different access points that we have in town that line the county. I don't know that, I mean, we have several points where people can come in to the town. We just need to get a better handle on what roads are public and what roads are considered town private roads that, they're just there, and when I say that, I mean, they are actually cleared and have gravel on them, they're just not a public road, which means VDOT has not taken the road over. So I was able to get a few maps together, so I'll be looking into more of that, but I do, wanna put that on everyone's radar. That we need to start looking at this as we grow, and the town gets bigger, that we need to focus on some of our roads that are not, if they are public, they're not well maintained, and what do we do with that, so I'll be talking to VDOT as well. The water I've already kind of touched on with the wells, the water main break I touched on. Community code, we're gonna start establishing, some more, kind of communication with them based on, we're still working through the code itself to get it published. But working on, some agenda and software for agenda, for the town council. That's all I have.
Awesome, any questions for the town manager? Hearing no
Can you
questions,
keep us up to date on the water by sending us text messages if something comes up that we should know?
Yeah.
And, cause
I'll send it you.
you know, I'm being asked a lot of questions by the people that are very concerned about our water, you know?
Yeah, so right now we have, I mean, we're getting our water from Louisa. We have a contract that allows us to get water from Louisa. We are trying to save our well 4, that's why we're doing this, because if we did not do this right now, well 4 will be like well 5 was, and then we'll be closed because you're not putting an effort into revitalizing. We will, once we get well 4 there, it's a lot of water that is in that well.
Good.
If we can get
Get
it
it
back
out,
where it was.
yeah.
The goal is to keep the tank full, and the tank is full.
Yeah.
But
Louisa, the water authorities is doing another rate increase.
yes, they are. They're doing a public hearing on Wednesday.
Yes.
They are doing another rate increase. We will not be addressing that this year. I don't know if you guys will address it next year, but we did not put any of that in our.
Yeah, I think this is like $3 or $4 more to
Yes.
pay for the water. Or whatever.
any other questions for the town manager? Okay.
I have one real quick if I could.
Yeah,
She and I had talked earlier, and I just wanted to remind her, or let everyone know that she is doing records review of old water records. You got to remember, they're still coming out of the word, where you're probably still finding some stuck to the bottom of people's shoes and whatnot. So she's just checking everything to make sure that we're going by the most up-to-date information, and VDH is going by the most up-to-date information, and we will keep you as informed as we can. But we are making she is, not me, she's making an ongoing review, and I didn't hear her say that, and I want her to get credit for this. It's a tremendous effort on top of all else that she's doing. So I just wanted to mention that. That's it.
thank you, Michelle. All right, we will move to the treasurer's report. So I don't know, Ellie, if you wanted to speak on anything specific, or if it's just as referenced in our packets.
No, I will say, the only thing I think that in the last page of the treasurer's report. Next to the last page is the monthly water consumption, which we've been keeping up with a little more recently, down significantly this month So, I think that's due to an enormous leak that was repaired here on town, personal residence property. But also maybe partly due to the fact that we did have the conservation of water in effect during the water main break, but all in all, I think I'm kind of goes up and down a little bit, but we're certainly a lot better than the 50-something% water loss that we were at 8 months or so ago. So we've cut that in half pretty much. So that's something that, yeah, diligence and just perseverance, watch how all this paid off.
Any questions for the treasurer? Okay, then we'll move to the DMV report. That is enclosed in writing. I get to that page. Kendra did a quite extensive report for us. The town monthly revenue at just over 35,000 for the month. And this is for the month of May. And then I'll also point out that the DMV Select Tier Mineral was commended for their organization and their thoroughness during their annual. Am I getting this correct, Nicole,
Yep.
during their annual review? So that every year the Department of Transportation comes in and does an inspection of our DMV. Ours went extremely well last month, but Kendra was diligent in mentioning that her staff was commended on the professionalism and organized structure. So great job to our DMV. And their contract, so the contract is, of course, the annual contract. Is up for review, so we'll have that in our July 1.
Well, it had to be signed and sent back, but it's just the normal contract, nothing changes, there's no, we can't negotiate. That state contract,
Right. Would you,
but I would place it into the.
right, so just so the council
Just so you
understands.
can
what
have
happened.
it, yes.
Yeah. Awesome. All right, let's move to committees. Do any committee chairs have a report for this evening?
Okay, fire department. Their carnival is gonna be July 8th through the 12th at Walton Park. The parade is gonna be by the VFW and sponsored by Blue Ridge Bank, July the 11th at 6:00. Okay, and also, and I saw this online, so I thought I'd bring it up. The VFW is having Flag Day at 12 p.m. and they're burning tattered flags and then having a little drinks and food or whatever. So that's something, this is our first time of doing that. All right. The new truck has arrived. Yay.
Nice.
And it's closely resembling the truck that was in the wreck that they made, because that was, and right now the truck is in Charlottesville getting some equipment put on there. Operators training, EMS licensing is going on. So it should be in operation by early July. And that's it.
So I point out, Nicole, I think it's in this far right cabinet is a whole bunch of old tattered flags, both town and US flags. So we can get those over to the VFW for the burning ceremony. I think that we've been collecting them for about 50 years.
This is the first time I've ever heard of anybody having a burn. Well, I've heard of burning flags, but not for the reason we're thinking.
So there is an actual ceremony that's done with respect to dispose of a US flag that is burning. It is burning of the flag. But when it's done with the ceremonial respect, not just lighting a match. So, and this is a very solemn.
And if they touch the ground, they're supposed to be burned.
Right. I don't know if anybody's ever seen a flag burning. We're gonna try that again. Ceremony is very solemn.
Yeah.
So I will be there for that. That is but we do have a bunch in here. Any other committees? So I will point out from the personnel committee, I have asked Nicole to do annual reviews of all of the staff, so that with the new fiscal year, July, we'll have reviews of each person. So July, that'll be on the agenda to go over those. The only other thing I have from the mayor's report is, again, we're attempting to communicate with the Little League, so I had that phone call. Again, I was not able to actually speak with him earlier this afternoon, so I'll get with him in the morning. Other than that, I think that's all I have to report. We'll go on to council comments. We'll start with Mr. Hanson.
I have a lot of questions about the budget.
Okay,
And if you want to start on page 2, we can start at the top and go down through page 2 and then 3 and et cetera.
you're looking at the proposed budget for approval? The one that we're working on currently?
Yeah.
So we can discuss that at the next meeting on the 16th is the budget approval, right?
Yeah, I don't have the budget with me. I can try to answer questions, but I wasn't prepared for that.
Sure. So let's ask them, and if we're not prepared, we'll get answers for the next meeting.
Okay. All right, starting on page 2 at the top, real estate tax revenue. We got 0 for a current actual and requested 125,000. I'm just curious why. Why wouldn't we have a current actual as a base? And then why are we asking for 125,000?
So our current actual, so again, I would like to, Kelly, you can jump in. The FMS system was implemented and put together after the budget process was there. We had to go through and try to fill in our numbers based on the budget. That number was not put into that line. Kelly has been working on these funds and getting money where it needs to be. A government budget is fund appropriated, so you have general fund, you have.
Yeah, I understand the process.
Okay, explain. And you have different divisions in there, so it wasn't that we just didn't put it in there, it's that it has to be moved from somewhere else to be put in there. And we have not had the chance to do those transfers as we are in the process of also doing all of the other things.
Okay,
But the budget does.
that raises a question because you've got a lot of current actuals in there. So maybe for the next meeting, why would we have left that one blank? And sure.
So is this the report that you're looking at? Budget that you're looking at?
I'm looking at page 2, the one that we were given.
So if you are looking at account number 100-0110330-2025.
Correct.
Okay, so that is our expected revenue for the next fiscal year. If you look at the line above, up close to the top in that second section there, account number 0111010-2024. That is the current actual real estate taxes that we've collected. So it is divided out by year based on we're anticipating revenue collection of 125,000 for 2025.
Okay.
And we have received 122, almost 123,000 of 24's taxes.
That makes sense.
So they're broken out separately by year so that we can track that better.
Okay. That'll probably answer a lot of my questions. Let's see what would be next. About mid-page on page 2, you've got 00015100-001 interest earned. No current actual, but we're showing a current budget of 36 and a requested amount of 20,000. I'm just curious how we got those numbers.
So again, as Nicole said, we are in the process of doing some of these entries that we need to move into other accounts. That's mostly because I did not know, some of it is in miscellaneous revenue and it's being moved out of it as I'm learning more about what each of these funds and accounts are actually for. So
Okay.
I'm educating myself as well.
All right, I understand. Page 3. We got meal tax revenue, first item on top. Current was 64,758.66, and we're saying that we're expecting 90,000. Are we going up with meal taxes?
No.
No, you go.
So these numbers are actual numbers through March. So
Okay.
these are not, this is from when we had the budget planning meeting.
Okay.
We had only collected numbers through March. So we have 2 more months.
You projected that through the end of the year.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, I understand. And I would assume that DMV select revenue is the same. You're projecting 500, when we're currently at 362, and I assume that there's 3 more months? So, but jumping that to 500, isn't that optimistic?
So it fluctuates, DMV revenue fluctuates between 35 and 50,000 a month.
Mhm.
So that is an estimate, I mean, it is a good estimate based on what we've collected in past years.
Okay, thank you. All right. Page 4, wages and salaries, right on top. We're showing basically 60,500 current, and you're projecting that will be 95 through the end of the year.
95 is requested for next year.
Okay. Let's see. Well, that answers it on a lot of these, actually. Dum, 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 dum. Page 6, about a little less than halfway down, clerk treasurer expenses. Right now you're showing current at a little under 130. But we're projecting over 150 more.
No, that base, again, last year's budget was based on numbers that we had seen and we kind of knowing that we were going to be fully staffed for a full year. Those expenses take into account, you know, when you build a budget, as you know, you have to account for, especially in your personnel budget, your expenses as far as health insurance, those kinds of things. You have to account for that as if all of your employees will be taking full coverage for their full family.
Okay.
In this case, that's not the case for neither the clerk nor the treasurer. So the expenses that are projected are increased because you account for that in your budget.
Right.
To have that. So no, we won't come anywhere close to 285,000.
Okay. Then that's all I have for now.
And don't forget, on the 16th is actually a budget meeting, so that's an opportune moment to ask those questions.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Any other council comments? So really quickly, we'll go over the updated calendar or the updated calendar. 6/16 at the budget public hearing, we will also be doing the. Appointment of the new council member. 6/24 is the special budget meeting. And then July 14th is the regular meeting, so. Bear in mind, on the 16th, it's really the last day for council to ask questions and discuss the budget. Because on the 24th, we are approving the budget in order to meet the required deadline of July 1st.
I have one more question I forgot.
Sure.
Going through this budget, and this is for you. I don't see any money set aside for the water system. You put grants in here that we don't know that we're gonna get. So where is the money for the water system? Beg pardon?
It's under contracted services.
It should show in the budget.
It does,
Water,
under
Fund.
contracted services.
the water fund is 200, I think, 500 contract service.
I must have missed that line item. I'll go back through it again. Thank you.
Well, we'll go through it again on the 16th and make sure that we all understand.
And we've addressed a lot of our we've set some money aside for water and contract services. But we are not at a place where we are gonna be doing stuff until we get our wells and our water evaluation done, so that we know what we have.
Right.
So it should be in under contract services in the water fund.
I do have a comment.
Sure.
Our town ordinance says we can't drill wells. A homeowner cannot drill a well.
Our town ordinance says that in residential, or general commercial, you need to hook up to public water. And if public water is available, you shall hook up to public water. And, there's different places in the ordinance where, sometimes water can't run the line, that's something we don't well, because we have a utility. That's all, so with that being said, the town ordinance does not say that we can't drill a well, and right now, with the water restriction, because the town ordinance doesn't say that. Anyone who wants to build on their property can drill a well. They have to have a engaged permit that shows me that they got a soil test
Okay,
as proved. Because
Good
that
to know.
ordinance says that we shall hook up public water because we offer it.
but you can't now.
Yeah,
on some-
yeah, so,
Yeah,
and our ordinance doesn't say you can't drill a well, but or if they wanted to drill a well or building their house, yes, ma'am, they must.
how can that? How do you get by with the ordinance, the zoning or what of that ordinance saying you can't? Because of that crisis right now?
Yes,
Okay,
because we are under the restrictions of VH.
okay.
And our ordinance doesn't say you can't, what it says is that you shall hook up to the utility if it's available.
Gotcha.
And so the only time it wouldn't be available unless there's something severely going on with the area.
Like what we're going through now. Okay, gotcha.
Is there a website where it explains the process for getting a VDH soil test and all that stuff? You think?
I mean, the county of Louisa maybe has a checklist, but I mean, I can go through and write up a checklist, but I mean, this is just, I don't think any county really has they just tell you that you have to get it and you have to go talk to VH. I remember working in Orange and all we did was tell them that they had to go to the health department, and I agree with you, we end up putting it on our checklist as something to make sure that we explain to the applicants that came in. Okay. But for the town, I would not feel comfortable approving any zoning permit without knowing that they've gotten a soil test and a health department permit for a well.
Okay. Alright, any other comments, questions? Oh, I almost forgot, so I am putting a float in the 4th of July. A float, it's gonna be on stuff, we'll all sit on the back of it. For the 4th of July, I'm gonna put some flags and stuff on it, so town staff and council is welcome to join me. And
No, thank you.
cooking hot dogs at night.
I'm too old. I'm too old for that kind of stuff.
Didn't know there was an eat button.
It is, honestly, it is. Look in the zone, look in the bylaws.
I will take a motion to adjourn. And the second,
Second,
we start with Mr. Hansel.
Good.
Yes.
yes.
Michelle.
Yes, yeah,
Awesome.
yeah.
We are adjourned. You all seen.
And a good evening to all.
You as well.